Southern California has faced windstorms, the kind that we've never seen before. I haven't, my neighbors haven't, and we've seen entire communities devastated by fire, exacerbated by that wind blowing on it. Our orchard was not spared from this wind damage. So our avocado take damage, our bananas are totally beat up and maybe wiped out, and our citrus has also gotten beat up. And so in this video, I want to share with you 3 things that you can do to ensure that your citrus plants have the best possible chance after a wind event like this. Let's get busy. Well, this wind event was quite the experience. We were out of town and actually had a flight that was supposed to come in the night that all that wind was blowing. Our flight into Ontario Airport got canceled. So smart. And we were diverted to John Wayne Airport. John Wayne Airport has the shortest runway in Southern California, something like half the length that we have in Ontario. And the pilot was doing his best. We were so bumpy on the way in, and we got within a couple of 100 feet, and it was so bumpy that the pilot had to abort that landing and do a go around. I've flown a lot of times, and that's the second time in my life that I've had to do a go around. The first time was like 30 years ago because of major fog on the ground. So this is the first time because of just conditions in flight. And so driving home into this apocalyptic scene, the power was out in our neighborhood. A tree fell down on my neighbor's house and put a hole that's the shape of a pine tree. I saw it go down, totally crazy. And so this has been pretty wild for us. But as the morning came and I saw what the wind had done, especially to this tangelo tree, the wind was flowing from the north through the south. And so this side of my orchard is the first thing to take a bunch of the brunt of it. I was just shocked. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. In case you didn't know, citrus are not supposed to lose their leaves. So when I saw these totally stripped, I was really concerned. I saw the same thing happen to the avocado over here, my Hass avocado, which we've been fighting to keep thriving and alive. It was kind of bouncing back, and now look at it, bald. These bananas that you see behind me knocked out. These also just took so much damage. And so anyways, when it comes to citrus trees, be aware that like all trees, the leaves are like little solar panels. This is what takes the sunlight and converts through photosynthesis all of that sunlight into energy for the tree. And so when it has lost most of its foliage, especially when it's not supposed to lose its foliage, the tree is not able to produce any extra energy. Well, guess what it takes to make fruit? Energy. So the first thing, and probably the most painful thing to do, is you want to reduce the fruit load on your tree. Now citrus and a lot of other trees, when they experience stress like this, they will automatically jettison a few fruit. The wind took out a ton of fruit also, created a bit of a windfall. That's where that word comes from. There's still a ton of fruit on this tangelo, which is so tasty. It's not yet ripe, but we need to take a bunch of the fruit off of this tree. Not all of it, but we need to reduce the fruit load by probably half. So that way, whatever remaining foliage is on the tree is able to support regrowth. One thing to consider doing if you've got downed citrus like this, if it's immature and not quite there in terms of sweetness, is still juice it and then just add a little bit of sugar, kind of like you would to lemonade. Think of these things as being almost more like slightly sweet lemons than super tart sweet citrus. Okay, a pro tip. You watch this channel, you know that I think that mulch is life. It controls temperatures and humidity underneath the soil moisture, creates an active biome for all that beautiful micro stuff happening underneath the soil. And the wind blew ours all away. I mean, it's totally just dirt now. Where did it all go? I don't know. So what I need to either do is drag some from other areas where we're not growing and have it planted out and spread out under the drip line of this tree, or I need to have another chip drop brought, which is crazy because we just had one. I still don't know where all this mulch went. The second thing you want to be sure to do with your exposed citrus, this goes for avocados as well, is you notice how this bark is green? This tender bark is partially photosynthetic, which means that this green bark, kind of like avocado bark, is able to actually produce and do some of the photosynthesis. But that means also that it's very, very tender and can easily become sunburned. So if you've watched this channel, you know that we're huge fans of Ivy Organics. Their whitewash, their tree paint, it's organic And what it does is go on as a layer of essentially sunscreen, and that's to protect this bark. Unlike the trees that have a large canopy around them, these trees with all of the foliage blown off don't have that natural shade from the foliage. And so we're going to provide some just artificial sunblock, so to speak, to protect this tree and make sure that we don't get any diseased and damaged wood because of sunburn. Anything that gets sunburned today is going to be a vector for pests and disease later. One of my daughters made the comment when we were coming back in this storm the day after the worst of it had happened, and she says, that was the worst thing that ever happened to me. Thank God that this is the worst thing that has ever happened to you. You know, I think there's a tendency to look at storms as being these disruptive events, because they are. I mean, many homes, many families out there have lost all of their earthly belongings. They had to flee with just their lives. And if that isn't a sobering moment, I don't know what is. But we also look at the silver lining of these types of events as being able to help us to cultivate resilience in ourselves, in our family, and realize that this life can go quickly just like that. We're not as big and powerful as we think we are. And so we thank God for His goodness, His provision, protection in all of this, and also kind of taking stock of who we are in reality. Hey, Whiskers came up to join me. Hey, come here. Whiskers doesn't like the wind either, do you, bud? Oh, he's a good boy. I know, it's a little weird up here, a lot of smells too. Hey, what's that, Whiskers? Oh, right. I wrote an ebook, 9 Things I Wish I Knew Before I Started My Backyard Orchard and Garden. And I think you should download it and check it out. There's a link to it below. That way you can avoid maybe some of the mistakes I made and get your garden off to a good start. All right, let's get to the rest of it. The third thing you will want to pay attention to when it comes to your citrus trees is damage from the wind. In terms of broken limbs, we didn't have any on that Tangelo over there, but this Satsuma mandarin has some broken branches. And so these end up becoming vectors for pests, disease, rot, decay, all of that stuff to come in. And so we want to remove any damaged wood. This is one of these general pruning tips. And even though it kills me to see it, if you've got any wood that's splitting, cracking, or just broken off, you need to remove it. So this branch, it's been a few days. It has a little fruit on here. Definitely will save that. It's not only removing the specifically damaged branch that's hanging there, but you'll want to come through and clean up the remaining exposed bark, so that way you can have a nice clean cut instead of this jagged stuff, which is where the problems really can come in. To give you an idea how bad the wind was, this branch that I just pulled out of this mandarin is actually a piece of avocado, and it looks like it ripped off the top of my Wirtz avocado, the mini-cado. So we'll have to get rid of that. Finding some ripe fruit on here is cold comfort, and so at least there's a little bit of a silver lining and we can enjoy some tasty ripe fruit. Gone through, we've cleaned up, we've removed all of the dead branches, we've gone through and painted these trees with whitewash, we've put that bark and mulch back into place so that way it's covering it all. There's just one thing left to do in here to bring this orchard back to where it needs to be. I really appreciate you watching and liking and subscribing. It really helps our channel a lot. And whether you've got one tree that got beat up by a storm that you needed to fix or 500, until next time, stay busy.